Hey guys, I'm back here again for another Countdown to Halloween movie watches video. Now I know I didn't post a video last week, so in this video I'm going to be talking about all the movies that I watched last week, and my next video, which should be up either Thursday or Friday, I'll be talking about all the movies that I watched this week leading up to Halloween. So yeah guys, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So, like I've said in my last few videos, I've been watching the Halloween movies, and every year I like to watch them in reverse chronological order. And this week, I started off with Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which is actually one of my favorite ones in the series. Now, I did watch the theatrical cut because I personally prefer that cut. I do know that the producer's cut, it explains the whole Thorn storyline better, and it's overall, it has its moments, and I do understand why people prefer the producer's cut because it explains the Thorn storyline better. But I grew up watching the theatrical cut, and to be completely honest, I was never a big fan of the Thorn storyline. I think it was cool that they wanted to do something different because by this point, the whole idea of Michael going after a female relative, at that point, I think it was getting kind of stale a little bit. And I do think that they needed something to change it up. So I do like that they came up with the whole idea of the Thorn cult trying to control Michael, and Jamie having a baby, and that was going to be Michael's last sacrifice. I like that, but I do think that in some scenes in the producer's cut, I thought was kind of not dumb, but it was just, I just preferred a theatrical cut over the producer's cut, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to have enough time to watch both cuts, and so I stuck with the theatrical cut. And like I said, I really do enjoy the theatrical cut. I think it has some of the best Halloween atmosphere of the whole series. I love the blue, like of how that, all the lighting in it is blue. I like the music. I know it's a really 90s movie, but I really do enjoy it. The Curse of Michael Myers has always been one of my favorites, and I really enjoyed revisiting it this year. Now, the next movie that I watched has always been one of my least favorite ones in the series, but I actually enjoyed it a lot more now, and I appreciate it a lot more than I have in the past, and that is Halloween 5. Now, as far as the movie, I never been a fan of the characters. I've never been a fan of Tina, and I was never a fan of the mask, and I thought that I do like the way the Myers house looks like on the inside, but it never really made sense as to why it looks the way it does on the outside. But other than that, I think this movie is actually, I think it's a lot better than what I thought it was. I really enjoyed it a lot more now that I'm an adult, than when I was as a kid. I think it's got a really cool, creepy atmosphere. I really love the scenes at the Tower Farm and the scenes of, Michael kind of standing out in the woods. There's always that great scene of when all the cops leave and Dr. Loomis is the only one still there. And he starts talking to Michael and, telling him to go home. And you can kind of see Michael kind of standing out in the middle of the woods. I really like that shot. I think Dr. Loomis is great in this one. I do think he's a little pushy at the beginning of the movie, trying to get Jamie to talk or trying to get Jamie to tell him, what she knows. But at the same time, you can kind of tell that he is so frustrated and he just wants to finally find Michael. I also thought that Danielle Harris was great. I know a lot of people don't like that she doesn't talk in this one and that she's mute, but I honestly thought that was I thought that was actually pretty good. I liked that, that she, it probably took a lot for Danielle Harris to have to just act by just using her facial expressions and stuff, instead of talking. And it really shows the talent that she has. So yeah, guys, Halloween 5, I really appreciate it more now. Now that I'm older than I had. So, yeah. The next one I watched is, I watched this with a good friend of mine, 13 Ghosts. I've loved this movie ever since I was a kid. I love all the ghost designs. Matthew Lillard is great in this, and the house is just awesome. You know, the glass house and everything. I know that some of the effects are a bit dated, but they don't really bother me. I've always loved this movie. I remember growing up and watching this movie with my cousin, you know, leading up to Halloween. And this has always just been a really fun movie, and I still love it to today. And the next one I watched is probably the best party horror movie, The Return of the Living Dead. There really ain't much I can say about this. It's one of the best, just overall, just fun horror movies. I absolutely love this one. The next one I watched is another movie that I grew up watching, and that is Sleepy Hollow. This movie, in my opinion, has the best fall atmosphere of almost any movie I've ever seen. Just everything is so dark but beautiful. And this was also a movie that when I was a kid and I watched it, I kind of got a little obsessed with the Headless Horseman. And I read the original book, you know, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I read that for the first time. And anything else that was related to the Headless Horseman, I wanted to watch or I wanted to read. But yeah, I love Sleepy Hollow. It was the first Tim Burton movie I ever saw and the first Johnny Depp movie I ever saw. So this was my introduction to both of them. And I still think this movie is a classic, and definitely one that I just always love revisiting. I think it has amazing atmosphere, you know, really great characters. Of course, Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, both great, and I just love this film. All right, now continuing on with my Halloween marathon with Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, which is my absolute favorite sequel in the series. I love Halloween 4. I love the opening scene. It has the best, you know, Halloween fall atmosphere. I think Michael is great in this. I know that a lot of people don't like the mask, and I don't like it either, but I prefer it to 5. Yeah, this is the introduction to Jamie Lloyd, Daniel Harris, who I think is great in this one. And yeah, this has just always been one of my favorites. Definitely a top favorite for me. It was also the first sequel I ever saw. After I saw the original, this was the first one that I saw. And I've always had a soft spot for it, and it's always been one of my favorites, and it still is. And the next one is a movie that when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to make of it. But then after watching it, I've learned to appreciate it, and I still appreciate it now. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I think this movie is a great Halloween movie. And when I say that, I don't mean Halloween as in the franchise of Michael Myers. I mean it's a great Halloween movie as in it's a movie that takes place on Halloween. The idea that this guy is using these, you know, Halloween trick-or-treating masks to basically kill all the kids, it's just such a crazy concept. And the idea of, you know, kids putting on these masks and it doing that to them, you know, using masks as a weapon, I think is a great Halloween idea because, you know, of course, when you think about Halloween, you think about masks, you think about, you know, jack-o'-lanterns, you think about skeletons, you think about witches. So, you know, you got the 3 iconic images of Halloween, the holiday, and then using that as a weapon. And you know, it's just always crazy. And this movie is such an 80s movie. I've always really liked the music in it. Of course, you have the Silver Shamrock, you know, song in it, which, you know, does get on my nerves, you know, when I hear it sometimes, but I still like it for the movie because it's so catchy. But the overall music in it is great. I love the soundtrack to Halloween 3. It's such an 80s, you know, it has this kind of technology type feel to it, but it's also really eerie and creepy. And the whole movie is just really eerie and creepy. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, and it's not just because Michael Myers isn't in it. I know some people have given this movie a chance, and they still don't enjoy it because it's so out there and so weird, and I completely understand. You know, I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion, but I've always enjoyed this one. And the last movie I watched was a first-time watch for me, and I've been wanting to see this movie for years, and that is Trick or Treat. And this was an awesome movie, just an awesome heavy metal horror movie, you know, about this kid who's a head, you know, he's a metalhead, and he gets bullied all the time, and his favorite musician, Sammy Carr, ends up dying. And basically, you know, he meets a radio DJ that he's friends with, played by Gene Simmons from Kiss, and he says that he has like the last album that Sammy ever recorded before he died, and that he's going to play it on Halloween at midnight. But before that, he gives the main character a copy of it, and he goes home and he starts playing it, but then he falls asleep. Well, when he wakes up, he finds out that there is a message that Sammy recorded and is playing in reverse. And if he plays the song backwards, then bad stuff starts happening to the people that bullied him. And I thought that was such a cool, you know, idea of, you know, back then, you know, people were looking for hidden messages and music telling kids to do stuff. And you know, the idea that they took the whole satanic panic type thing and they used that for the movie, I thought was really cool. So yeah, guys, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely one that I plan on going back to. But anyway, guys, that is it. Those are all the movies that I watched this past week. Let me know what you guys think about the movies I talked about. Honestly, I really love all these movies. I even have grown to really enjoy Halloween 5. That has always been one of my least favorites, but I really appreciate it now for what it is. So let me know what you guys think about all the movies I talked about. And like I said, within the next couple of days, I'll be doing another video just talking about all the movies that I'm watching this week leading up to Halloween. Anyway, guys, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I always appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.